It lives 50 feet beneath the city. It's 36 feet long. It weighs 2,000 pounds and it's about to break out. Alligator. First off, if it was 36 feet long, it probably weighed more than 2,000 pounds, but it's my main complaint with the poster. But, right in 1980, early 80s fun. Hey, remember the urban legend where they flush alligator down the sewers, and so go to Florida, you buy yourself a little baby alligator, but of course you can't have it in your apartment in New York City, so you flush that sucker down the toilet. It doesn't die, it grows into a giant monster. I don't think urban legend's ever been proved out, and as even this movie points out, it'd be pretty much impossible for an alligator to grow in the sewers because they're cold-blooded, they need sun. The water's filthy, there's poisonous gases, and there's lack of food supply. Yes, there is rats, but these things are used to take it down. Bigger game than even a giant New York City.
You got puppies in bags.
Rat. Yeah, if you feed them animals that have been doped up with whatever. I can't remember. They were experimental animals and growth hormones and stuff, and they were dumping the dead bodies down in the sewer. It fed off that, which is how it was able to grow and survive down in the mean sewer, the mean streets of hell. Hey, it stars Robert Forster. Remember him? Of course you don't. God, he's been in the movie business a long time. He did get some popular in the 90s because he co-starred in Jackie Brown. He played the Bond salesman. But actually, I still love this movie. I actually got to see this at a drive-in. It was the midnight movie Mamacita. Andrea out here. She was showing movies at a place called Chandler Cinemas. A lot of kind of grindhouse type setup. But then she left Chandler Cinemas and she kind of did a road tour till she found another place to settle down in. And she showed movies at different places. And one of the places she showed, it was at a drive-in. It was the Glendale 9. Out here in Arizona, which is not, it was on the west side. Nobody wants to go to the west side. She should have went to the Scottsdale 6 on the east side. Everybody knows that. But she showed it the Glendale 9. So I got to see this, an original 35mm print of this at the drive-in. She double featured it with A Boy and His Dog, which is her favorite movie. But that's going down a different line of thought now, isn't it? But anyways, kind of neat poster. Got it for, probably around 20 bucks or less. Definitely under 30. And I love this movie, still do to this day. Our next movie is Grizzly, but we're not going to go there. Because one thing, because we're running out of time, I wanted to point out, I mentioned his name, Vic Morrow. He's been in a lot of movies. He did, I would say it was Blackboard Jungle back in the 50s. One of the first rock and roll movies. Featured Bill Haley and his comics quite heavily. And made a lot of B movies. This is... His 1980s be one of his last movies, but he was doing Twilight Zone, the movie, which came out in the early 80s. He actually died during the making of that film. A helicopter crash took his life. He wasn't actually in the helicopter, but parts of it crashed. It was during the John Landis sequence, and very fortunate, he died, and two young kids he was with had died, who was also in that scene. John Landis came on under a lot of fire for that, for perhaps not having enough safety precautions, having the helicopter too low. Sorry I laughed right there, but Doug McClure. Cameraman gets a kick out of it, because you guys might remember from The Simpsons, there was Troy McClure. Well, this is Doug McClure. We don't want to confuse the two guys. Doug McClure you might know for such movies as Warlords of the Deep, and a shitload of 80s television shows, including Airwolf and God knows what else. But, yeah, I just wanted to point that out too. So that's enough Humanoids for Deep. That's enough of Alligator. There, see it? There it is again. That's wonderful glory. Move on to more giant animal mayhem. Grizzly. 18 feet of gut-crunching, man-eating terror. I should probably spend most of this video talking about this particular movie and poster. Came out after Jaws. And this movie is basically known as Jaws on land. In Jaws you had a giant killer great white terrorizing the beach community. Mayor doesn't want to shut down the beach. He's on the 4th of July because this is a business day. The small business needed for that small town. This takes place at a campground where they start getting some bear attacks, and they try to track down and hunt down the bear, and they don't realize it's a giant 18-foot grizzly, as it says here. The guy's running the campgrounds, refuses to close it down because he doesn't want to lose the business, and you get people arguing. So they have that set up, and plus you end up, like Jaws, you had the 3 guys in the boat, you end up having basically 3 guys go out looking for the bear. It's these 3 guys right here. The ranger, Christopher George, the helicopter pilot, Andrew Prine, the naturalist, Richard Jekyll. One thing I want to point out, Andrew Prine, perhaps my favorite B-movie actor of all time, and this guy's actually a very good actor too. Did Simon King of the Witches, very little scene flick. He's in Grizzly here. He's in The Evil with Richard Crenna. He's in The Town That Dreaded Sundown. He's in Eliminators in the early 80s. early 80s film. He's also in B. That's his original miniseries. He played one of the V, the Visitors. But one of my favorite B-movie actors. And while we're on that subject, Richard Jekyll, Christopher George, these guys, just tons and tons of movies. A lot of B-movie stuff, though they might get lucky and get bigger flicks once in a while. Christopher George popped up some Italian movies during the 70s. Richard Jekyll's in one of my favorite B movies, The Green Slime! He gets killed. He's not the star, that's what happens. But God, he's been in who knows how many movies as well. I'd like to point out that this movie was kind of gory for its day. You do get a fake grizzly bear arm as it swings out, knocking off cow heads and that, and people get killed. A little bit of blood be shed in there. I don't think the movie's aged that well, and when you see the bear just use a real grizzly bear, and they don't really do anything to make it look larger. There's kind of a bad forced perspective shot at the end where they try to have the camera way back. There's a helicopter, and the bear's on the other side of the helicopter, and they have the camera here, and they angle it where trying to make it look like the grizzly bear's taller than the helicopter. It's badly set up. It's just a regular sized grizzly bear. It's hardly 18 feet of gut-crunching, man-eating terror. But I still don't mind the flick. Like I said, it's known as Jaws on Land. I love this poster. I had wanted it for a long time. I was very, very happy to finally score a copy of it. And like I said, it's got some well-known B-movie actors here. Andrew Prine's one of my favorite. And I think we're going to move on very quickly here to whatever happened to Aunt Alice. What makes her garden grow, wouldn't you like to know? It rhymes. Whatever happened to Aunt Alice was more terrifying than what happened to Baby Jane. Whatever happened to Baby Jane? That was another movie. Joan Crawford, Bette Davis, 2 old battle axes going at it. A much more well-known and popular movie than this, because that movie had 2 aging actresses of the past, the golden age. I'm not too familiar with whatever happened to Aunt Alice at the time. I got this for under $10. This is pretty cheap. I thought the image was real cool. One thing I found interesting is, if you guys are familiar with rocker Alice Cooper, is the dirt around her eyes kind of has that, looks like the makeup that Alice Cooper used. And of course this is Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice. This movie came out in '69, which Cooper was kind of around at that time, but I always wondered if this image had any influence on his look, or if they took the poster image and had the influence off of him. I don't know. It could just be pure coincidence. It probably is, but I always saw that was interesting. Alice Cooper and Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice had this similar look around the eyes, and that this movie and Alice Cooper both came out around the same time. I might even got this for it. It's $5 to $10, and I thought the image was pretty neat. You got time for one more?
Yeah, about 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. That's good enough for this one. We're the Zone Troopers. I Want You. Of course, they're taking the Uncle Sam posters, recruiting posters of yesterday. We got this cool kind of insectoid, alien-looking guy. Very cheap late 80s movie. Done by Charles Band. I don't know if he directed this. His brother did the music. Charles Band started Full Moon Pictures. Best known for doing the Puppet Master things in the late 80s, but he did do theatrical releases This might have got a very small theatrical release. I think this he did this movie before he started
See, it
doing
was
Full
Tim
Moon.
Thomerson.
Yeah. Tim Thomerson's reference to a conversation we had earlier that you're not privy to, and I don't have time to explain right now.
Just say he's the doll man in
Yes, Tim Thomerson's best known. He would work with Charles Bad. He was Jack Death of the Trancers movies, which did get a theatrical release, and Doll Man, but that was during the straight-to-video days of Full Moon Pictures. But hey, this was a pretty funny poster. Once again, I think I got this for $10 or less. Can't go wrong with the image. This will conclude this particular episode. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I'll see you around for the next one. I still got 7 more posters to go. Thank you.